Hey. Yo, my man. They were asking me about the African-American experience. Maybe you could take this one.
Oh. Well, I find that the African-American experience for me has been, for the most part, very good. Although, I find it difficult to go into detail as I haven't had much desire to leave the house in a while.
We've become such homebodies.
Yes, but even when you go into the city, I've just had no interest. The chores have become my sanctuary. Get out.
Sorry, man.
Okay.
Get out!
Yo!
Yeah!
Yo, chill, man.
Get out!
Chill! Chill, man! Chill!
Get the fuck out of here!
I thought we were doing Bowfinger again.
Oh, you guys didn't watch Bowfinger?
I did.
Okay,
Your
we've
daily viewing of Bowfinger.
done our obligatory talking about Bowfinger every episode.
Yeah,
And
so we can not mention it now. Just get it out of the way early. I didn't know how to connect it to get out, so
Same with Joe
Okay.
joining a cult.
Yeah, I know.
sure.
That's got to be mentioned
We
as
just
well.
got to get through all this stuff so we can get out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're talking about Get Out this week. I picked this one as it is an amazing movie, and yeah, I just love
To
it.
be found out
Wait, what?
if it's we'll find out by the end of
We'll
this
find
podcast
out, yeah.
if it's a good movie.
We're about to actually watch the movie again live and talk about it. So, but Joe has seen this before, and I've seen this numerous times, multiple times, and Jesse has not. So, like many of these episodes, I want to hear Jesse's opinion because he's never seen it before. I'm putting you on the spot again.
Yeah. Conflicted thoughts, reviews. I don't know how I felt fully. I will start though. I see why this is a great movie. Like it's very cool. I get it. I was not in the right headspace to watch it. Like it was one of those like definitely not in the right headspace. Yesterday was like I don't have any more time, so I have to watch it. So don't watch it if you're not like feeling great about it.
Well, so what about that? Like, what do you mean, like headspace? Like, what? I'm not to go into your headspace, but what?
Let's do a Jesse therapy hour.
Like, what kind of put you off about it? Like, what got you out of the movie?
Well, no, I think I was too far into the movie. I was getting
Oh.
pulled into the sunken place.
Oh, man.
Maybe not that, but I'm just saying. I think I just generally was like, I've been in like this like high anxiety state of mind, and like, not gonna not get into this, but like even especially the past year, like relationship with like the concept of death and like all of that at the very top of my mind recently, and just not in a great space. Like this was like, boom, like that's what I'm saying though. It's great, but it was also like a little like, oh my, like just is like, oh God, this feels worse right now.
Yeah. So in a way, it worked.
Oh, it for sure worked. It definitely yeah. I mean, if the goal, is like make the viewer feel something, for sure, absolutely.
At least you had
but-
Rod in there to kind of give you some comedic undertones.
Oh my God, that was like all my notes. Was like, I love him. I love the whole line of like the TSA.
Oh
And,
man,
like,
it's such a good that end line.
My brother like always, jokes about the TSA like constantly. And so I loved the end line. Great. I also loved when he was talking to the detective and he's like, we go through the same training. We might even know more than you, honestly.
This dude been missing for 6 months, right? So I do all my research, because as a TSA agent, you guys are detectives. I got the same training, we might know more than y'all sometimes, because we dealing with some terrorist shit. So, but that's a totally different story.
How about you, Joe? what you've seen this before, but
I've seen this many times. Yeah. I mean, I love Jordan Peele's movies. This one, I found it interesting from a slightly different perspective, but like, again, just everything that's happened in the last year, like there's so many like race topics touched on in this movie. And I mean, this was made before, when was this?
2017.
2017. So like, I mean, even before everything that happened this past year, but you know, such a strong theme throughout the entire thing. And it's got lots of like the deer, for example, like, you know, everything that happened with his mom, with Chris's mom, and just like watching the deer they hit. And then like later on the deer's watching him as he's just kind of sitting there helpless. Like there's a lot of like intricate little themes like that he kind of wove into the story. So I love the movie just from a storytelling perspective. I think Jordan Peele did a great job, especially this was his first movie, wasn't it?
First movie. Yep.
Out the gate.
Yeah. So like super
coming in
impressive.
Yeah, I figured you like, because there's so many layers to this movie. It's unbelievable. Like I've seen this probably around 20 times, and I've noticed new things this time that I haven't before.
Like thinking about like, so she's sitting there, the insane like sister girlfriend is sitting there eating Fruit Loops and milk, but they're separated. Like the idea that you can't mix something that's colored with something that's white.
Yeah, I heard Jordan Peele talk about that one actually.
Yeah, what did he say?
There was like was it Vanity Fair or something? It was one of those like Jordan Peele reacts to fan theories or something, and somebody wrote in about that one.
Mm-hmm.
And I could be getting this wrong. I feel like he said, because I didn't even fully get it, he said it like it wasn't whites not mixing with colors, but it was very purposeful of keeping things separated, and the Fruit Loops representing something maybe. And I feel like he also said, I think it was like to show like how psychotic she is. Right. It was like, what would a person like that eat, you know, or something. Mm-hmm. Which if I'm getting this right, big shots at people who eat milk and cereal separate, which I'm not one of, so I'm cool with it. But
well, I read that also. I don't know how true it's like. I read this a while ago when I was kind of diving into the movie after I saw it the first couple of times. And I guess milk is like a sign, like there's some like negative connotation with milk, I guess, with drinking or something with milk, which is why in some movies they have like the villain drinking milk or using milk in some way. I don't know. I read that somewhere that's some people perceive that as a negative thing.
Yeah, I feel like we've talked about it before, how like a lot of times I want to hear directors be like, no, that's not it. It's this. Mm-hmm. You know, but like a lot of times they just leave it open for like, yeah, however you take that,
right,
is how it is. But this video is funny because I mean, some of them were like crazy theories of like, it's the same universe as John Malkovich because that same actor, and it was like this person's daughter, and like explaining it all. And Jordan Peele was like, no, he was like, he did say he like met with Spike Jonze and he told him the theory, though, who directed Being John Malkovich, you know, and they like had a good laugh about it. But there was another one that like somebody was like, the whole movie was a hallucination, or it was Rod like imagining what was happening at the beginning when he was like, don't go to her house. And he's like playing out, this is what would happen because it gets crazier and crazier.
That's hilarious.
And Jordan Peele kept basically being like, you've smoked way too much marijuana. That's not it. This happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Have you guys seen the alternate ending for this?
Yes, I did.
I remember that was when I first saw this movie. Like when the police roll up at the end, I'm like, you know, my brain immediately goes to, oh, this looks so bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm sure that's intentional, but
I thought he was going to go to jail. I thought that's how it was going to end.
I think that was how it was supposed to go.
That is the alternate ending.
Right.
That's the alternate ending.
It is the police. It's not TSA.
Right. The alternate ending is the actual, yeah.
They shot it both ways, and
it's way better how it is with Rod.
Yeah, it's a much happier.
He deserves to be happy, man. I felt bad for the guy.
No.
But TSA, we handle shit.
How you find me?
I'm TS Motherfucking A. We handle shit. That's what we do. Consider this situation. Fucking handle.
We've already done spoiler alerts, right? I don't know.
Yeah, spoiler.
This is always
I remember after this came out, but I thought everyone was like ruining the ending for me. All I remember is people being like, "Oh my god, it was the spoon! It was the spoon!" And so the whole time I'm watching this movie, I'm like, "Oh my god, that's how it's gonna end. Something about a spoon." And then it was like the spoon that like put him into the trance, and I was like, "Oh, it wasn't ruined for me." I was under the assumption that the spoon was like how the whole movie ended.
Right, like Inception with the top. It would just focus in on the spoon going like this, and then just end.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, but it was so great because I kind of went into this being like, I get it. I remember the spoon,
Mhm.
and then I actually like didn't pick up on it until, and the end when everyone picked up on it.
Right.
And I was just, oh great, it wasn't ruined for me.
I like that aspect of it because it's very I don't know. They don't. I feel like movies don't play a lot with hypnotism, or they might, but I don't know. I like how they do it in this because it seems realistic, and I don't know. I liked it personally.
I don't really get the like hypnotism part, but that's probably
No.
just not really understanding how all that would.
We saw when at school at SCAD we saw a hypnotist actually, and he came to perform, and it actually was crazy. And I was like pretty skeptical about that, but I saw it and I was like, this is pretty legit. Like they had these people like dancing on the stage, taking their shirts off. It was so weird. But
It's really weird. I
yeah,
want
something I like when they first get to the house. I actually noticed this time, not before, but I appreciated that when they went in the kitchen, he told Chris where the garbage can was, because to me, whenever I go visit someone or stay at their house or go to someone's house, no one ever says where the garbage is. And you're in the kitchen looking for it for like a good 5 to 10 minutes, and you're pulling up all the drawers and the cabinets. And I was like, I appreciate that they put that in there.
it was a pretty thorough house tour. I thought.
Yeah, it was. I liked it.
Doing his house tour. Yeah,
It was a very nice house.
One of the things that I picked up on this time that I didn't really notice so much before, but there was a lot of shots where in the house is one of them, but everything is so symmetrical. Like especially like as they're like going up to the house, like the house itself is perfectly symmetrical. It's kind of creepy. But then even like when they're doing the shot where she's sitting on the bed about to eat the Fruit Loops and milk in a very weird way. Like it's just like zooming in on her, like the photos on the wall behind her are perfectly symmetrical. It's like she is perfectly centered. There's a handful of and like the room where he's sitting in before he's about to like go into like the surgery thing, like that's perfectly symmetrical. I don't know if that means anything, but I just noticed it like all the time.
Right.
Yeah, I'm curious I mean, obviously, a movie definitely you could rewatch and like pick up on a ton of things. Because even when I was watching that, like Jordan Peele Answers fan theories, there was so many that I didn't really pick up on. But of course, you watch them, like, oh my god! And like somebody was like, how they all show up in black cars,
right?
Everyone, and like that's definitely because it's like they're all leaving in black bodies, kind of thing. And he hid. The Shining, the 237.
Yeah, you got that. I'm glad you got that.
No. I caught it after. I didn't catch it in the movie. But he did that in a Key and Peele sketch as well.
Oh,
like,
okay.
He in this continental breakfast, like when he checks into the hotel, Keegan Michael Key is like, sir, your room 237 is ready. And it's just like a comedy sketch, but he like even back
that's
then
fun.
Yeah, threw it in there. Like it's been like
he does love The Shining, so I get why he did that.
And I was gonna say, I mean, talking just coming from comedy, and then obviously like first movie, just amazing. I mean, this guy's like top of his game right out the gate. I don't know if this makes sense in horror too, but I just kept thinking like, oh, good comedy writing. Like, obviously, he's a great comedy writer. I think we talked about this before. It's this idea of like, you let the audience guess enough to keep them engaged, but you're still hitting them with surprises, like in jokes. But I was like, this does it so well, just like in the plot of like, you can kind of see as soon as you're close enough to something, you can kind of see it gonna happen. But then it moves on to the next thing so fast where you're thrown back into like, oh, I don't know what's going on again. And it just does that so well through the whole movie to be like,
Right.
to keep you like actually engaged and like watching it.
Yeah, that's a good point because like I usually don't like when they mix horror and comedy. Like I mentioned this before, but it just doesn't work well for me. But he does it in such a subtle way, and it works so well, and it fits in the plot and makes the characters. I don't know. I just like it. It's great.
Yeah, and I don't even mean comedy mixed in. I just mean that same structure.
Oh
that you
yeah,
would write in comedy writing. Like it feels like that same structure he kind of used in horror, but it works so well.
Right, which is
and
weird.
I don't know.
Yeah, it works really. You're totally right. Yeah, I never thought about that before. Actually, it's the same structure, just horror, and I love it.
I mean, if anybody could do it, I mean, I know Jordan Peele is a big horror movie fan, but he spent so much time doing Key and Peele that, you know, I'm sure he was pretty good at pacing out and scripting out the comedy in a horror movie. So, I mean, it kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all the references. Oh, sorry, go for it.
I was going to say, I always love comedians talking about Jordan Peele because they're all like, especially when they're like, yeah, we just would like be in the back of the Comedy Store with him. And they're like, he's just a fellow comic. And they were like, literally overnight, he became like a Hollywood director, you know, like a big Hollywood director. He just like smashed through the wall and was like comics usually feel like they're kind of on the outskirts of like Hollywood. And they're like, and he just boom, right away, he's this mega director. It's so good at it.
That put him there. This is the movie that put him.
Love it.
That's awesome. Why they were like, he just out of nowhere was like, oh, I'm making a movie. And we were like, that's cool. And then he made it. And it was one of the best movies.
Right. Well, yeah. Speaking of that, I don't know if you guys watched the trailer when this was first coming out, but I remember I saw it and I didn't really know much about it. I knew it was like a Jordan Peele, you know, he's doing a new horror movie and everyone's like, oh, like, how's this going to go? But I saw the trailer and I thought it looked terrible. I thought it was going to be really bad. The trailer was not good, in my opinion. I was like, oh, this is just a stupid, like, B horror movie. And because I didn't want to watch it. When it came out, I was like, I'm not going to go see that. And then
did you watch, like, were you a Jordan Peele fan before he went to horror?
Yeah,
like,
I watched Key and Peele. I watched a bit of Key and Peele. I was
Mad
aware
TV.
of his work. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I saw his
back
Mad
in the
TV
day.
stuff. Yeah. Like I was aware of his work and I did see a bunch of it, but I wasn't like I'm not like.
And you didn't know he was like a horror guy.
Yeah, I didn't know too much. I knew the references. Like he did some like Gremlins reference in some of his skits, and he did a bunch of like subtle things here and there, which I knew. I was like, oh, he's probably got some kind of love for horror. There's got to be something there. And after this came out, I did a little more research and watched a bunch of interviews, and he's a fanatic, and I love it. It makes it so much better that he loves it. It's so cool. Like in this movie has so many references. Like the opening shot is like a reference to Halloween. He would mention that, and like Rosemary's Baby with the whole cult people. And then it's like, what else? I only wrote these all down. The Amityville Horror. Get Out is a big line in the Amityville Horror. And Night of the Living Dead, the protagonist, it's from 1968. The protagonist, he's like a black protagonist, which was a kind of a rare thing for that time period. And he likes that idea. And it's just, I don't know, there's so many things. North by Northwest, when he's running at the camera, The Shining is like all over this movie. It's great.
It's also one of the movies that says the name in the movie.
Oh, yes.
Another one.
It's true. And I was on and off about the name at first. I was like, I don't know if I like the name Get Out. It's weird. And I'm still kind of going on in my head. I'm like, do I like that or not? But I think I like it. Right now, in this current second, I like the title. But who knows?
Could change tomorrow.
Yeah, could change tomorrow.
What's his other movie called?
Us.
That's what I thought. Because at some point when, at the end when he's like in the chair and he's talking to the guy who's gonna take his body, and he just goes like, "Why us?" And for some reason in my head I was like, he said the name of he's setting up the second movie.
I didn't even notice that.
Us. It could not actually be anything, but he was just like, why us? And that clicked into my head just because I think of now saying the title in the movie just because of this podcast.
There is a theory that I've read about, and so I don't know if he's announced his there's another one he's coming out with eventually, but there's a theory, going back with theories. I would love to hear his opinion on this, but like a trilogy, and they're all related, and it's like Get Us Out, and then there's another one, kind of like a whole universe sort of thing. Like they are related, but it's and it kind of makes sense because if you think about it, Us is about like the doppelgangers, and like Get Us Out, they want to get out. I don't know. There's a whole thing. It's very interesting, actually. I didn't read about, but
I mean, if you can pull that off, that'd be amazing. 'Cause I feel like they're similar, but they're different enough where I don't see it. But if he can pull it off, cool.
They're the Twilight Zone episodes, man. It's like a big Twilight Zone movie, which is what I love about it. The music is so good.
Is the new Twilight Zone good? I haven't seen his.
It's good. I don't know. There are some really good episodes. He's a great narrator. He plays a really good narrator, and you can tell he just loves it. But I mean, some of the episodes, they're too long. Like they're 40 minutes a piece, which what I like about the originals, they're like 20 minutes, 18 to 20 minutes per episode, which I like. But I don't know. I mean, they're well done. They're not amazing, but I think they're definitely worth a watch if you like the Twilight Zone. And it's like kind of like it's like a middle ground of Black Mirror and the Twilight Zone, kind of.
Speaking of great narrator, I heard they used his voice.
Yep.
I forget what.
The mind is a beautiful thing to waste. No, wait. Yeah.
He also made the sound of the deer dying.
Yeah.
That was him.
Getting in on the folly.
Good.
That's so funny. Yeah. I loved it was funny. I was thinking when they had the party and they had the older people over, and it was interesting because like they went along with the theme that old people don't have a filter, and it comes off in this movie, but it's weird because they don't have a filter and they're not really hiding the fact of what they're going to do. Cause they're like, oh, like when the girl was like, is it better? And like all that, just those subtle comments, like, I don't know. He's probably thinking like, what? Something's about to happen to me. I don't know, but they don't really care about basically giving away what they're about to do.
Mm-hmm.
They're just, I don't know. It was interesting to me just seeing how they kind of conversed with Chris and like how they handled it.
In that scene you just reminded me of that I didn't really get is when they were basically like bidding, I think. But they were doing it with bingo cards. They're like, let's go play bingo. But like they were really going to like essentially bid on who's gonna like use his body as like a vessel or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like kept holding up their bingo cards in like different orientations. And I didn't really know what that meant. Or how they knew like does like a diagonal bingo mean you're putting two more than the current bid or something? Like I don't really know how that worked, but
I mean they didn't explain it, but I mean it obviously means something because they've been doing it for
100 years.
Yeah, like they definitely have a system and they clearly all know each other. I don't know. I was okay with not knowing because I was like, they let them do their thing.
Yeah, it's not like an important detail, but I was just watching and I was like, what is?
I do get what you're saying.
That?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Do we have any locations for Get Out?
Yeah, we got the house. The Armitage house is in the app. It's in Alabama.
Oh, interesting.
Check it out.
It technically is. I mean, in the story, it's upstate New York. Is that right?
Yep. And they were gonna shoot in LA apparently, but then due to budgetary reasons, they shot in Alabama. I don't know. Or tax. It wasn't budget. It was a tax, some kind of tax thing. I don't know. But yeah, we got the house in there. Cool house, by the way.
Is it a private property?
Yeah, it's someone's house, but
so someone lives there.
It's that family.
Exactly. It's the Armitage.
They live there.
That's the real family.
Go pay him a visit. Yeah.
But I feel like the last 20 minutes, in my opinion, it's so freaking good. It's so well done. I like how quick and easy, not easy, quick and seamless Chris just escapes. Like, I feel like it's so realistic because like, I feel like in a lot of horror movies, they kind of, they stall and they're fighting like the villain and it just like, I don't know. But this, he's just like kills him, gets out, and then leaves.
That's one more reason you should like the titles because
exactly.
Yeah.
And I did read that in IMDb. I read that it was interesting because most of the Armitages who died, they all died from like a head trauma or some kind of head injury, when the whole movie deals with heads and minds and brains, and he's a neurosurgeon, and it's very interesting.
Interesting. I hadn't thought of that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really interesting to like on like racism with the movie, the point of view of like it actually honestly didn't really click with me until the end when he said why us in the chair, and the guy was like, oh, it has nothing to do with you being black, it's just I want your eye.
Mhm.
And this whole like it's like this whole talk on racism, but like of the more like not racism as most people think about it. You know,
Right.
like these people didn't think they were racist. They actually liked black
Right.
culture, and they were
Right.
like, you know, and they thought they were being like not racist at all because we're like, we love you, you know, like that, but it's still separate. It's just this like interesting take instead of like most people think of racism as just like the people who hate black people. And like
I actually took that
Yep.
a different way. So that's interesting.
Oh, interesting. What did you take, Joe? What was your-
I looked at it more as like, especially with everything that's happened this past year, maybe that's why. But like that guy, I mean, like to your point, like appreciated Chris's eye because he was a blind art dealer, and Chris was a good photographer. But the way I took that was like because they literally exclusively were doing this to black people, that it was kind of like one of those like inherently racist things that they are just like playing off as not racist, like almost like a blind racism, whether they intended it or not, it was, but I don't know, that's just the way I took it.
yeah, and I think there's like that's kind of, I mean, definitely overlap too with maybe how I'm not explaining it well, but like the blind racism, I think is a good term of like, it's just this idea of like, you can think there's a lot of people who think they have really good intentions,
Right.
but they still treat it as separate and
Mhm.
different, but they think because they admire it that it's okay.
Yeah, it's a tough thing to describe, but that's especially for three white guys. But
Right.
Well, that's what I mean too, is like I like that it's from that perspective, because I think there's a lot of people who don't think that they're part of it at all.
Right.
And you have to realize, you know, like kind of like you might be just from societal point of view, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah, but it's interesting to hear that you took it that way, and I probably would have taken it that same way a few years ago, but I feel like it's in a different context now. It still works, unfortunately, but you know, slightly different meaning. I took a slightly different meaning from it this time.
That's so interesting. Yeah, and I feel like they did a good job because you're obviously with Chris the whole movie. You're basically his character. Like the viewer is acting as his character, and you like feel uncomfortable with him like during the party, and they do a really good job of kind of showing from his perspective on how he feels and his emotions, and it works because like I felt weird in some of those situations where they're all just like, I don't know, you don't know what to do. You know, he's not used to this kind of scenario, and yeah, I don't know.
It's like when that guy at the end, the grandpa, when he like kills Rose, but then kills himself immediately without even thinking about it.
Right.
And it's like shocking, but the way you're brought through the movie, it's shocking. But then like a second after, you're like, oh, yeah,
I wouldn't want to.
of course.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, yeah. Like that, just the whole depiction of the sunken place of like him floating.
Crazy.
Again, not a good headspace, but that.
I liked how you could kind of tell with the grandparents. I liked how you could kind of, I don't know. I would be curious to hear your thoughts, Jesse, but like, because you've never seen this before, but like watching again, you could kind of see how they are the grandparents kind of throughout, just like by subtle things. Like, you know, when he said something about tattletale, like, or he said something about snitching, and she didn't know what that meant. She only knew tattletale because she's from an older generation. And then it kind of clicked with her, and he's like, oh, tattletale. Like subtle things like that where you're like, oh wait, are they the grandparents? I don't
Same
know.
with like the grandpa was like talking like, oh, isn't she like beautiful or whatever, and like he's like, that's how a grandpa would talk about their grandchild.
Right. Mm-hmm.
To him it's like, man, this creepy guy he's got a crush, he's got a thing for you, you know. And and he was like weirded out by that, because out of context that is really weird. But if you think about it like, oh, this is the grandpa talking about his granddaughter, then it makes a lot more sense.
Right. I never thought about that, actually. Interesting. Yeah.
And like he greeted everybody as they arrived
Because
at
it's
like
their
the
party.
ground.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like the groundkeepers wouldn't do that.
Mhm.
It did click for me. It did click for me the running, how like
Yeah.
the whole like he lost to Jesse Owens in the Olympics,
hmm
which is like, like that part I was like, yeah, but I didn't pick up on any of the like tattletale. And like now that you're saying it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is probably littered through this of like,
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's crazy. I love it though. I think it's so cool.
Great pick.
You know what? It's crazy. I was reading some fun facts about this on IMDb, and Eddie Murphy was originally casted as Chris,
I'm glad they didn't.
but
Eddie
apparently
Murphy.
he was too old. I guess. He
I
like,
was gonna say, what was it
would've-
a different story? Like this old
I
guy?
think he was just
comes-
older. Yeah, but
Would
I don't
Rose be
know.
older?
That would have been
Or-
so weird. Like I love Eddie Murphy, but Daniel Kaluuya freaking
I don't
kills
think
it in this movie. I couldn't
I
imagine
just-
anyone else.
I just can't stop picturing too like Eddie Murphy doing like a comedy character though, or like
Right.
his like like Bowfinger like character, but in
I would love to see him in
Bowfinger,
like
boom.
I would love to see him in a really serious role. Though. I would be so curious, like an Adam Sandler, pull an Adam Sandler and do that. I don't know. I
Yeah.
would be super.
It's
curious.
like Robin Williams. A lot of
Exactly,
comedians
yeah.
are the best dramatic actors.
I know it's crazy, but I also read that apparently Chance the Rapper, he liked it so much that he bought the entire theater out, and he just had people come and he would just give them tickets to go to the movie. I don't know. I thought that was
I
pretty
love
cool.
Chance.
I don't know much about him, but I think that was pretty cool.
Daniel Kaluuya though, so good,
Awesome.
and he's someone I'm so happy to see his career take off,
Yeah.
because he's also one of those people who I had seen but I never thought of. I mean, because I also hadn't seen this, but like like he was in Black Mirror, which this is obviously very Black Mirror. There's another movie or something I was going to bring up too that this really reminded me of.
I'd be curious to hear what that was.
But and then obviously like Judah and the Messiah, his Golden Globe win,
Black Panther.
on Mute, Black Panther, and he like just hosted SNL. So it's like kind of cool now that it's like taking off, and he's great to like for me to go back and watch this.
Right.
And be
Right.
like, oh yeah, I am
Oh,
so
that is
glad
cool.
that
Yeah.
it's happening.
Because this was like
Um,
this was like his big film to like kind of get him into that.
That's what I took it as.
Yeah.
Is like this kind of was like the big. Like if
'Cause I
I
think-
saw this when it came out, I probably wouldn't have even known who Daniel Kaluuya was.
No, I think Black Mirror was right before this, so I think he was in that before this. But
Yeah, so maybe I would be like, oh, that's the one
that's so interesting. Yeah,
guy. But
I kind of like seeing that, like actors or actresses you like, and kind of like going back to see their, first couple big hits.
mhm.
It's always fun to see that. Like
That's-
I love Dazed and Confused because Ben Affleck's in it for like not even like he's in it for like a couple scenes, but it's like it's just funny because I don't know. I just love seeing actors like that get such little screen time and now they're just huge. But yeah, it is really cool to see his career take off a little bit.
I did. It was interesting. The first time he like took a photo of Andre,
Mhm.
but who was not Andre anymore,
Mhm.
and like realized that like clicked them out. I thought that I liked that for some reason, just because I feel like that was a good point in the movie where you're kind of like you were like kind of lost, and then that happened, and you didn't get it fully, but you were like, oh, like that's when your mind starts like trying to put
Right.
everything together because you're like, oh, okay, this is
Mhm.
something's going on. And then I didn't. That's the first time too I thought of after when she was like, my dad said it was a seizure, and he was like, that wasn't a seizure, and she's like, my dad's a neurosurgeon.
And he's
Or
like,
like,
come on.
I was gonna trust him, and then that's like the first time. I don't know if they even mentioned it before, but I was like, oh, neurosurgeon. Okay, like,
It's coming together.
Turn-
It's all coming
yeah.
together. Yep.
and any scene with Rod, obviously.
Dude, he's so
Basically,
funny.
him
He's so funny.
talking to the detectives is actually probably my favorite scene ever. Like, I almost wish I'm so glad that like that storyline is in it. Like I want Rod to have a spin-off.
Just
You know,
Rod.
but like, yeah, that's not.
It's
that's
called
like
Rod
the
from Get Out.
It's like a Paul Blart Mall Cop, but it's like Rod TSA agent.
That would actually be
Um,
hilarious. A TSA like spin-off of Rod. I would watch that.
It was just so again, the TSA aspect, it's just so funny, and I just love his character so much. Like we go through the same training, we probably know more than you, and then he saved the day.
I like one of my favorite cuts in it is when he's talking to the detective the first time and he's telling the story, and then it cuts to there's two others in there. It's the same as continuing the story. It's just I love that. I love when movies do that.
And you can tell he's like very much like, see, they're taking it serious now. Like,
Right.
hell yeah.
Really, like not taking it seriously at all. So funny.
Cool. All right, cool. Well, I think for ratings, let's do this is a tough one. I was gonna say spoons or tea bags or bingo cards or
Bocce balls.
bocce balls. Yeah,
That's what he knocked him over the head with, right?
I like that.
Or
That
was
was
it-
awesome. It was a
Was it
yeah. I was
bocce
like,
or was it the
oh, croquet.
No,
okay, I was like, what's the other? Were they
I don't
bocce?
know. It's a great
Yeah.
question.
bocce is bigger. Croquet was like a
Oh, okay.
put through the pegs.
I love it. I love also the antlers. That was great.
Mhm.
Another deer thing.
Also, that's something I mentioned this earlier, but that's something I really liked about it is I feel like in a lot of other horror movies, especially that the dad probably would have stayed alive for longer and there would have been a little more of a tussle. But I feel like he just went in, did his thing, left, and he was dead. And I was like, that's realistic because I feel like that would actually happen. No one's gonna like crawl and like, sew up their wounds themselves and then be like, I'm still alive and get shot 5 times.
Although I did think it was a little unrealistic that the guy who did get hit over the head with the bocce ball came back up and then like was fighting him at the door. Like it was nice because they did that whole like jujitsu thing that they had talked about earlier, where you got to be like a few steps ahead or whatever. But
yeah, I know.
I was like, how is this guy still alive?
Yeah, I know that. I always go between that as well.
That's what we're learning though, is head traumas aren't a big deal. Because in Parasite, when he falls and cracks his head
Right.
open, and then we're all like, how did he not die?
There must be something that we don't know about head trauma that filmmakers know.
You can just
I'm not
just
gonna
bash
try.
your head. You just bash your head, you're gonna be fine.
Well, I feel like it's also insane because like with the head, I feel like it's so like, I mean, you could probably get hit in the head in one way and not get that hurt, but it might look bad. But otherwise you could get hit, I don't know, anywhere in the head. I mean, D can probably go into detail about this, but head trauma, man, I don't know. I'd be curious to learn more about that. Where you can get hit, where you can't get hit.
Tell us. Should be
Or
like,
you can get hit.
should be like
Let's
you
have
guys-
Dr. D on here.
It's like new boxing rules, and it's like you can punch him here, just not here. You can punch him.
Should be like you guys are idiots.
Yes. Excuse me. I was just wondering where I can get hit on the head.
I'm gonna do Fruit
Antlers.
Loops.
Fruit Loops. Ooh, let's do Fruit Loops.
Fruit Loops.
I like Fruit Loops.
All right.
All right, I'm gonna go 8.5 Fruit Loops. I thought this was
Great.
I don't have much more than that. Like I would rate. I just think it's one of the. It should be one of the higher rated movies. It's not Hot Fuzz, but
course.
it's a very good movie.
Glad you like it. Jesse? You still thinking?
Yeah, I'm going back and forth because I think what I'm gonna go with might be surprising. Because again, like if it was just this one experience when I watched it, it'd probably be lower. But I think as a movie, I'm going 9 Fruit Loops.
9 Fruit Loop.
Uh,
Wow. I'm super happy to hear that.
Yeah. I'm gonna look back though, like on when I compare ratings to movies, be like, wait, I rated this 1.5 points higher than like
Right. That always
I feel like
happens.
nothing's gonna make sense. But I go a lot because it is a movie. Like I just don't know what more I'd want from it, honestly.
Right.
and
It's
like,
the perfect length too.
Yeah, I think it's like it's super engaging. It's I feel like it's like a must watch for most people. Like, because it's not even like, again, it's like a psychological thing. So like, no, prepare yourself going into that. um, you know, not feeling great, watch Bowfinger. I don't know. Um,
Double feature.
but but it's not like super cool. I mean, for the most part, gory. Like, I think most people could watch it, should watch it. I think it has like super engaging, really good storyline, like plot, and super like effective in terms of what like Jordan Peele making a statement or like effective, like telling a story through the movie, if that makes sense. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, it's really effective in that way. But and then there's also like the weird Rod part that is like, I appreciate it so much that there is this weird, just comedic check-ins a few times that I was like, was so funny. Was like as funny as a Key and Peele sketch, but like it didn't distract from it, but it was just a nice little check-in point throughout the thing. And again, I loved that they ended with it too, because it made the ending feel a little like you just get a good laugh at the end, not for what happened, but just because like the one line joke, So it was just, I just feel like it's one of those things where it's like a must watch because it's constructed so beautifully that like it's effective every way. Again, I wouldn't add anything to it. I couldn't ask for anything more. I just only don't want to give it a 10 because I don't know what I would give a 10 because I'm like afraid of giving something a 10, but like solid.
That's a rave review from Jesse.
That was great, man. I want to like put that in a document, put it on our website or something. That was great.
Except for then you like type it out actually like on, and it's like, and you know what I'm saying, and does that make sense?
Yep. No, that's great. I completely agree with you though. I mean, Rod was so tastefully done, and it like I feel like a lot of times in movies they try to put this comedic person in, and it's just like forced, like the jokes and things like that. But it works so well. It's so fluent, and he's not in it a lot where it's overbearing. But it's the perfect. It's almost like Rafi in The League. Like it's done so well and so perfectly. Like I wouldn't want more, but I wouldn't want less.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe a little more Rod. I would love to see.
Well, I just want a spin-off. Like I don't need him in this. Like I think it would change it in this, but I just need him. Like I just like kind of after the fact, I'm like, I just like to get to know Rod a little bit more.
Idea. We could do Rod TSA movie, and then we could have a Rod versus Paul Blart movie.
I'm into it.
Maybe Rod is the connecting thing between all of Jordan Peele's movies.
Whoa.
Just all his
That would be cool.
Just all his
all right, I'm gonna go 10 for Loops. This is a 10 for me. I think it's a perfect movie. My only gripe, I have one gripe, but it's not gonna take away any of the points. When Chris runs out of the house and Rose has like the gun and she's about to shoot him, and the grandpa kind of runs by her. She says, "Go get him, grandpa." And then the other one, she says something about grandma. They said it to secure the point that was the grandparents, but I feel like we already knew at that point. They didn't have to say that. They didn't have to say grandma, grandpa. I think that to me they could have left that out, but that's just a little nitpick.
There was some Jordan Peele talking about some line about like I think at the beginning when they're gonna visit that maybe he didn't put in, or maybe he did. That was along the lines of like, are they gonna like chase me off the porch with a gun or something? And like that's what happened at the end.
Right.
And then I think he'd also said at the end there was some line he wanted to add when the grandpa tackled him that was like in reference to Jesse Owens or something, but it was some like crazy, like I think kind of supposed to be comedic, but like some insane line that he was like, we just couldn't put it in because it felt it just like didn't feel like we could get it in there, but there was some like, like, see, I could catch you, or like some weird.
Oh yeah,
I don't know. I'll send you the thing that I listened to, but
I would love to see that. Yeah,
there is. Great. And speaking of all these hidden things, just to add on to my review a little bit more, just raving about it. It is. I feel like like some of the movies, especially Joe Cuffney's picks. There's all these like hidden things where you can like go back and rewatch. And this one, though, for some reason, it's one where like I almost I like them because usually it makes me feel like I could watch the movie again and pick up. But this one almost makes me like, it almost annoys me that I didn't pick up on things, you know? So like I want to rewatch it because it kind of takes your breath away at the end. Just like the whole movie where you're just like, oh, okay. You know, and you're almost like, I have to watch that again just to look for those like now and all the hidden ones, especially after you hear like, well, hearing you guys talk about all these ones that I missed. And then even like listening to like Jordan Peele, you know, talk about like some fan things. And I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I have to go back.
You have to.
It's great.
Oh God.
But yeah.
Is that the pick for next week?
I was going to say, this is a terrible segue actually, because I was literally thinking about like I had one that's like kind of is like the type of movie I generally would pick. And so I like went in the exact opposite direction.
I'm all for it.
I can't wait.
We're doing George of the Jungle.
Yes. Oh man.
As you guys know, I love talking monkeys. So this is I'm pumped, but
yes, I'm excited.
I mean,
good.
This podcast is a little bit of a roller coaster, but after next week, the past 3 weeks will be quite the roller coaster from Best in Show to Get Out to George in the Jungle.
I'm excited to hear what you pick, Jesse, to complete that. But yeah, George of the Jungle. I'm so excited about that. I haven't seen that literally since I was a kid. So
every single time I like think about it, it just makes me happy because like I watched that growing up, and it's just such a. I also relate to that because I was always hitting my head on things. But
no, wait. I just want to confirm because there's multiple versions. Is this the one with Brendan Fraser?
I was about to ask that.
Let me double check.
Also, talking while you search that, I love that clip of you and Joe when you were tiny and you were like playing in the cardboard box and you like hit your head, you know, and it's just this like home video and you hit your head and you go, oh, my head. And we're just like, this is the most Joe thing we've seen.
Yeah, I've been doing it forever. And yes, it is the Brendan Fraser version.
Who directed that? Are you on the IMDb right now? It's someone.
It was Sam Weissman.
Oh, yeah, he did something else.
That sounds familiar.
Oh, he did D2, right?
Ooh.
That was the connection. Yeah.
Anyone seen the new Mighty Ducks?
Haven't watched it yet.
I haven't either. I don't have Disney Plus right now, but I'm thinking about getting it just to check it out.
Should.
Yeah.
This did remind me, I did just finish last night that new series on HBO, Made for Love.
Never heard of it.
It's like 3 weeks ago, the first 3 episodes came out, and then 3 episodes last week, and then the final 2 came out this week. But it's this like, it also, this Get Out makes me think of it because it's this like, I mean, it's funny, but the whole idea is she basically was kind of kidnapped by this like tech billionaire, like Elon Musk villain.
Oh, okay.
And he like planted a chip in her head, and then she lived in this hub for 10 years and broke out. But now he can like see everything through her eyes.
Huh.
It's like an interesting, you know. So it kind of connects with this. Not that it's not quite as a masterpiece as this, and like, you know, it's like an HBO good, funny show. But just finish that. But it also, I won't spoil anything in case you watch it and it just finished, but a lot of episodes of nothing going on. And then the whole series ends kind of just begging for a second season.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very strange. Like it's a show, I think if it gets picked up and they do a second season, I'll be like, yeah, that was pretty good. But if it gets canceled, I'll be like, what the hell happened? Nothing happened. What kind of show was this?
Maybe I'll wait to see if they do a second season to check it out then, if nothing happens.
It's not a bad idea, honestly.
I'd rather watch a B horror movie where nothing happens with really bright red blood.
Yeah. It's 8 episodes, just 30-minute episodes.
Oh, that's not bad.
And just
then.
really short episodes. So it's
okay.
good. You could binge through very fast.
All right. That's cool though. I watched the trilogy of I Know You Did Last Summer because those are always great 90s horror movies. We got the Oscars coming up though on the 25th, right?
That was my other thought, is to do a pick from that, but
oh yeah, I still gotta watch a few of those.
Yeah,
I did. I loved Mank. You know how Mank is
I really
but like I feel like everyone didn't know about Mank until it was like announced as.
Oh, did you guys watch it?
Like, well, no, but I was seeing someone on Twitter was like, "How was Monk nominated for an Oscar? Didn't that show get canceled a few years ago?" So,
There's many things wrong with that. That's hilarious. People need to just keep their thoughts in their head sometimes.
I mean, I think it was purposely like
Oh,
making
okay.
fun of people. Yeah, it
That was a
wasn't
joke.
sincere.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I was like,
that'd be pretty bad if it wasn't, but that's funny.
yeah. Well, that's cool. I'm trying to think of anything else. I think we're good. Any other?
Just trying to rewind in my
I know.
head. I'm like Black Mirror, Daniel Kaluuya, these type of thriller.
Was it like
John Malkovich?
That'd be a fun double feature, actually. I never thought about that.
Being,
Oh,
John
what is it?
Being John Malkovich, I did put that on the wheel.
Oh, you did? I haven't seen it.
Because
I've
Spike
seen it.
Jones. I
haven't
haven't
seen
either,
it
but I love
forever.
Spike Jones.
I saw it when I was really young, so I don't remember any of it. I'd be curious. Spike Jones would be kind of cool. I feel like they are similar. Spike Jones and Jordan Peele. I feel like they have a similar style.
That's true.
Like they're a similar director, which I like. I just can't wait for more Jordan Peele movies. Candyman's coming out. It's produced Candyman this year.
Jordan Peele did that?
Sorry, he's producing it. Nia DaCosta, she's directing it. She did. I don't know. I think this might be her feature debut or like her actual big studio. I don't know. Then he's got
directorial debut.
director. I don't know, but I'm excited for that. Oh, I also think.
Oh my!
What? Go for it.
I just when you pulled it up, I was like, oh, this is number 13 too. Like Friday the 13th.
Oh my gosh.
13.
Oh, missed opportunity.
Very missed opportunity. Oh,
Just saying. Just saying.
I'm gonna keep that in mind for next time. That's a really good idea.
113.